Hello guys, Matthew here and welcome back again to the TechTeak YouTube channel. Today I have something special for you, just freshly released NVIDIA's more budget-oriented series of graphics cards, the GeForce GTX 1050 Ti, based on the GP107 GPU. This one in front of me, as you can see, coming from MSI in their very familiar Gaming X version. NVIDIA also released a vanilla version of this GPU, the non-Ti model, just GTX 1050, which is even more affordable, but of course with more tamed specifications. I'll go into that with more details later on. The product box is basically the same as their every other Gaming X model. On the front you can see a picture of the graphics card itself, while on the back we have your usual overview of the features for the Gaming X series, like their custom lighting and twin frozen cooler design, and a list of features, minimum system requirements and basic product specifications. Opening up the box, in this separate box you'll find a paper envelope in which you'll get your user manual, optical disc with drivers and software, and some promotional material. Here's a thank you note for purchasing this product. And finally, here's the graphics card itself. You are by now probably all familiar with the MSI's Gaming X series and their twin frozen cooler design, which is in its 6th generation now, being it either because of the ongoing NVIDIA's and AMD's series or from older generations. It's very recognizable due to its aggressive looking red and black color scheme, alongside a few other highlights, like this red LED lighting on the back and also LED lit MSI logo on the side, which in this case isn't RGB like in higher series, but just white. As GTX 1050 Ti series has a much lower TDP than its bigger brothers, the cooling portion of this model is a bit more tamed. Alongside of a decent aluminum heatsink, we have only one but very big and thick heat pipe, which goes in an S shape through it, making direct contact with the GPU itself in the middle and being cooled off by two 80mm Torx 2.0 fans. Of course, MSI used a custom PCB design for this series, together with improved 4-phase power design and other components. The PCB itself is a bit longer than it should be. As you can see here, the back portion is basically empty component-wise. You won't get a backplate, which is no surprise since this is a more budget-oriented series. And in terms of other add-ons, we have one 6-pin PCI Express power connector, and for video outputs, array of one DisplayPort, one HDMI and one DVI-D. Specifications wise, the GTX 1050 Ti and its GP107 GPU comes in with 768 CUDA cores and 4GB of GDDR5 video memory by default. The base clock is set at 1290 MHz, while boost clock goes up to 1392 MHz. In my case, with the MSI's Gaming X version, that was of course even higher since it comes factory overclocked out of the box, base clock being set at 1380 MHz and boost at 1493 MHz. On the other end, the weaker brother GTX 1050 has 640 CUDA cores, but a bit higher default base and boost clock. You will have an option to choose from two different video memory capacities, 2 or 4 GB, while having a 128-bit wide memory bus, just like the GTX 1050 Ti. Both cards are rated at and under 75 watts of TDP, and in theory they don't need any additional PCI Express power connector, but we will probably witness both case scenarios since some manufacturers want to ensure additional overclocking and power headroom, like for example MSI in this case. In terms of pricing, officially the GTX 1050 will start at $109 MSRP, while the GTX 1050 Ti goes for a little bit higher, $139, without the presence of a reference Founders Edition design model, but of course those numbers are not set in stone, and knowing the market, it could be a bit higher in the beginning. Taking the graphics card for a spin, right away I went in to manually overclock this little GPU, which turned out to be a pretty decent overclocker. I managed to get around plus 130 MHz on the GPU clock speed, which resulted in stable 1911 MHz of boost clock and 2027 MHz for the memory, which is also quite a jump from the original 1750 MHz. The funny thing is I could probably go even higher, but for some reason it just wouldn't go over that figure no matter what settings I apply. The same goes for the GPU clock speed, it wouldn't budge over those 1911 MHz no matter what software I used. It seems that we have some kind of baked-in safety limit in BIOS, possibly even TDP related. In terms of the default boost clock, I was seeing it going up to 1800 MHz at the time, thanks to the nVidia's GPU Boost 3.0 technology. Putting that aside and taking a look at the performance figures, you can see that GTX 1050 Ti delivers very decent performance, ideal for 1080p gaming when it comes to building a budget configuration, well above the 30 FPS mark. Based on this, GTX 1050 Ti surpasses AMD's RX 460 by quite a margin, and it's going to be interesting to see how will those two fight on the market, especially since in theory the MSRP of the GTX 1050 Ti is pretty close to some aftermarket models of RX 460, while the GTX 1050 will probably be even more competitive. This being an MSI Gaming X model, when it comes to temperatures and acoustics, everything is as should be and as we are used to seeing from this series. As you can see here, the idle temperature is just below 30 degrees Celsius, and that's with the fact that the card runs passively on account of the zero frozer feature, while under load you won't see it go over 61 degrees Celsius, being it under firmware stress test or playing games, as that is its default target temperature. You will only see a difference in RPM of the fans, in both cases that being below 800 RPM, which made the card dead silent. Lastly, as I've already mentioned, in this version you can only control the lighting effect of both the red LEDs on the cooler and the white MSI's Dragon logo on the side, not individually but as a group, using their gaming app software. That's it guys for this time from me. Thank you once again for checking out the unboxing and review of the MSI's GeForce GTX 1050 Ti 4G graphics card. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up if you like it, it helps me a lot. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions about the product, and of course if you would like to see more content like this, you can subscribe to the TechTick YouTube channel, or you can just check out some of my other videos from before.